Hi, for those of you who have arrived at this video without seeing video number 1, maybe from somewhere else, I'd just like to introduce myself again. It's Stephen Marcus from the Freestyle Optimizer, and what I want to do or show you is my 3 personal tips to improve your freestyle technique and speed in swimming. Now, I've been training for around 28 years, and of course you see a lot of the same mistakes made over and over and over again. And what I'd like to do now is show you in a video these mistakes and how you can possibly correct them in the best way. And what I'd like to do now is give you one example of this. What we see here in the first example is somebody swimming with a very high frequency and doing what I would call is cutting the water. You can see that the swimmer is actually dragging a lot of air into the water and is not finding an optimal water point at the front of the style and not using their power optimally to move forward. You see actually a lot of downward movement and a tremendous amount of air. We look at that again. You can see the amount of air and the bubbles that are being pulled into the water, and it looks like a lot of action is taking place, but it's not actually what I would call forward action. You're not actually pulling yourself here forward. You're doing a lot of work and you're not setting your power optimally in the water. And of course that's what we want you to do in this course, which is called the Freestyle Optimizer, is optimize the type of power that you use, especially on this pull phase of the stroke, so that you're not doing as much action and not using as much energy. And the way you do that, something that I find works really well, is you need to focus on the front, on the catch part of the stroke, and you need to use a soft hand. Now I don't mean that you relax completely, because you still have tension there, but you can see in this example that the swimmer is actually swimming very focused and very smoothly and making sure that they get the catch and the water in the front of the stroke onto the palm of the hand, and then they are basically taking the water in the front and throwing it towards their feet in a very nice and very, very controlled way, which is exactly what you want to do. You can see here there's no air moving and that the swimmer is going forward, and that's way more efficient than the first example you saw. And one of the things you can do is swim that progressively from the back to the front. So you start off nice and slowly and you really feel that water in the front, and then you move the water towards your feet, and then as you're moving down the lane you start to increase slowly and get a little bit faster, and of course staying focused and holding that water on the palm of your hand. Another thing you could use, of course, are paddles. There are many different forms. Most paddles have in the front and over the wrist. We want to remove the wrist rubber and basically only use the one that's on your middle finger, and it's exactly the same principle. Now you're using an aid to make you swim, and with the paddle you should be able to feel the water, especially in the front, and you should be able to feel that you're pushing the water back towards your feet in a much more efficient and smooth way. And if you're not doing it right, those paddles are not going to stay attached to your hand properly, and you'll see that you're doing that in the wrong way. So you want to be able to use the aid, and the aid should stick to your hand in a nice way, and you should be able to again feel the water in the front and focus on that, and that should be able to make you a better, smoother and faster swimmer. You can see here in the example that the swimmer, again, it's all about focus, about a good hand entry and a good pull and an underwater stroke, and you're using now your energy in the correct way in the Freestyle Optimizer. The success of these drills is actually very easy to control. You're basically going to immediately feel an effect because you're now doing things in the correct way, and that effect you're going to feel with your body. And you could suddenly discover that after you've been doing the training and you've been following the training plans, that maybe your shoulder is a little bit stiff, or underneath the shoulder in your latissimus, that could be a little bit stiff. And those are great things, because that's showing you that you're now doing things correctly and that you've got a better underwater pressure. And that underwater pressure is going to make you a faster and better swimmer. A second mistake that a lot of swimmers make is actually to go from side to side and cross their headline when they swim. As you can see here, the swimmer is crossing from the left to the right and is actually moving into the other shoulder line, and that is an absolute mistake that many swimmers make. It has a knock-on effect as well. If you watch here, you can see it from the side that the hips actually start to wobble, and that causes you to actually move a little bit like a snake through the water. And you can see that very clearly, that the swimmer with the right arm is crossing over to the left side and the left arm crossing over to the right and over the shoulder and over the center of the headline here. It's absolutely a mistake that you see all the time, and when you do something like that, you're absolutely moving your hand. You have to bring your hand back and down into the right shoulder line to get some sort of a pull, and in that way it's much slower. So here you can now see the swimmer is actually pulling on his shoulder line. Each arm is extending, and through that he's gaining an extra 10 to 15 centimeters on the front part of the swim, which he can now use as power to pull himself forward and start with the stroke straight away, which is opposed to going over the side of the head and then first having to come back and then pulling in the right way. Here you can see an example of somebody, and it's an overcorrection. What you can do is you can swim down the black line, as the swimmer is doing very nicely here, and you can actually feel way out to the right and way out to the left. And what you're going to end up with is basically that you're going to find you pulling in the correct line. It's an overcorrection to make you pull properly. It'll feel a little bit funny at first, which is quite normal, but the end result will be a pull in the correct way. Here we show it to you again. You're basically going down the black line, right hand extreme to the right, left hand extreme to the left, and from that your body will adjust and you will get a pull that's actually right down the correct shoulder line, and it'll start to look and feel really good, and you'll be pulling yourself through the water in a much faster manner. A third mistake that many swimmers make is to not extend their foot, and by moving their feet in the position that you can see the swimmer doing now, basically the swimmer is just moving the foot up and down. There's absolutely no backward movement. The knees are actually not too bad. You can see that he's actually bending the knee a little bit, but the foot is going straight up, straight down. There's absolutely no whip effect with the foot like that at all. You're actually braking when you swim like that. That's a brake effect. You're doing a lot of energy and you're using a lot of energy, and it's all because you have an incorrect foot position when you're swimming. And we are wanting to change that foot position, and you can see this is energy that is absolutely wasted in trying to move you forward, and it's not doing it in a nice way. Now you can see in this one that the swimmer is stretching the ankle. The knee is still going about 10 centimeters, and the ankle and the foot have become an extension of the leg. And I actually, when we talk a little bit about a whip effect. You've got an upward whip effect, you've got a downward whip effect, and this is a much more efficient way. And all this is actually a correct foot position and a correct ankle position, becoming an extension of the leg, and it's much more efficient. And now you're going to be swimming much faster, and it will feel 1,000 times better than what you saw before. So if you have that problem, and all you can do for that is relax your ankle and relax your foot, and you'll be having a great whip effect, and you'll be moving much faster through the water. Basically, a strong leg is going to produce a strong kick if you put it in the right way. And if you use the whip effect at the end of your foot, and the whip effect down and the whip effect up, that's going to produce the speed that you need to become a faster and better swimmer. Here we've developed a drill that will help you to get rid of the incorrect foot position, or what we call the crane foot when you're kicking. You can see that the swimmer's pushed off the wall, lying on their back, with their arms extended above the head, hands clasped together. And what we're asking the swimmer to do and to visualize is that with every foot movement, they're basically kicking a ball towards the top of the pool. And if the swimmer can actually visualize that and put that sort of kick and power into the ankle and to the foot extension, then it'll start to feel much smoother when you go through the water, because now you're moving the water when you're kicking up, and when you're kicking down. And that's going to give you a great feeling in the water, and you're going to be moving much faster and much more efficiently. It's something you will actually feel when you're in the water, when you have the correct foot position going forward. So now, after watching the video, you've seen what we consider to be the 3 most common mistakes that are made when you're swimming freestyle. Of course, there are many, many more mistakes that people make, and these are only a few of the ones that we've shown you, and we would like you to take away, hopefully, that you found yourself in that video a little bit, and that you are doing things perhaps suboptimally, and you could do it a little bit better yourself. So down below, you can order the trainings plan for free and take it with you to the pool and practice, practice, practice. Of course, there are not only 3 mistakes that people make, and what I've tried to do and identify are the 10 most common mistakes, and I've put these together in a 10-part course which will identify those 10 most common mistakes and how to correct them. In the 10-part course, you're going to find many drills which will be able to help you and to optimize, and that's what the course is called, the Freestyle Optimizer, to optimize your freestyle and make you a better, more efficient and faster swimmer. So if you want to see what we're talking about, please watch the 3rd video, which will take you to the next part.